Welcome back to Ronnie's vlog. The last time that I did a vlog episode, I was talking about how I was having to redo my CBT for the 5th time. I was really nervous about doing that, not because I thought I'd fail, it just got me down that I wasn't able to do my test and was having to redo my CBT. It was kind of like Groundhog Day, and it really affected my mental health and just made me feel like a failure in some respects. Obviously you've seen from the footage that I haven't started off from home like I normally do, and the reason for that is I'm using a bit of footage from my CBT, so you get to see a little bit of the route I did on my CBT. Now when I woke up on the morning of my CBT, my non-existent rear end was playing up, and I thought it was just going to be a really bad day. I had feelings that the day was just going to be a complete disaster. The school rang me and said to go in about an hour later so they could sort out the newbies, which I thought was good and could give me a chance to take some painkillers and try and get my body to at least cooperate in some way. But I wasn't looking forward to going in and doing all of the car park stuff and just basically going through the syllabus like a newbie, like I had the last 4 times that I did my CBT. When I arrived, the instructor decided that we were just going to go straight out for a bimble, as he put it. I think it's partly because what made it different this time, I think, is because I currently had a CBT, whereas most of the rest of the other times I did it, my CBT had lapsed, so there was a gap, even if it was just a couple of weeks, or the last, at one point, being an 18-year gap. So anything from a couple of weeks to 18 years. And I think because of that they had to do the full syllabus. But I think the instructor decided that it wasn't exactly needed, and I didn't think it was needed either. So I was really grateful that he decided to do it this way. So myself and another female rider and the instructor decided to go out for a nice ride for 2 hours as the newbies were doing their car park bits of the CBT. The footage that I'm showing now is from the 2nd hour, basically because the 1st hour the other lady was in front and leading, so I decided not to show that, one, to protect her privacy. I didn't think it was right, and also because we're doing a CBT we have to have high-vis jackets on, and the jackets have got the name of the school on the back. I was tempted to put that on and thought maybe it would be good advertising for them, since they're a really good school and maybe they need work, but because I haven't asked the permission, I thought I'd not actually put the school on the video. But if you're curious and want to know, just ask me, especially if you live in North Tyneside or North East Newcastle and you're looking for somewhere to do your CBT. I will happily tell you, because they're a very good school. So I'm just showing you the footage, some of the footage of my riding. When we got back, he gave me some comments as though we'd been doing the mod 2 of the test. Apparently I check my mirrors far too often. I do check them a lot more when I've got somebody behind me. I normally do when I'm riding with somebody, or especially when I'm riding with my son. I always double check that everything's safe, that they're still there, that I haven't lost anybody. I guess I do look behind a bit too much, but you also have to look behind just to make sure that what you're doing isn't going to affect the people behind. So whenever I brake or slow or even consider doing anything, like for instance the cyclists, I always look to see how my actions would affect other road users. I think I'll always be like that, but I am now a bit mindful that maybe I do overlook and could possibly confuse some drivers at certain points. So it was a good ride, and we went round mainly streets that I ride every day, so it was a nice ride. And then we got back to the test centre and had a quick bite to lunch, and then because I'd had a lesson booked in January that got cancelled, they let me have a ride on their lowest 500, so that I could see whether I could do it. It was a bit too big, so even the smallest bike was too big for me, and I was on tiptoes. And we went round. I couldn't get out of first gear. I felt really scared, but it was really fun at the same time. It terrified me, but it was one of the best moments ever. I think I enjoy getting scared far too often. But it has made me think that maybe I might just have to do my A1 test first, and then buy myself a bike next year to do my full A test on, or look somewhere else. Go to a different school that has got a lower bike, which I don't really want to do because I've built up such a good rapport with the school that I'm currently with, and they know me and they know my health issues, and having to repeat that over and over again to different schools, I don't know whether it is worth it. I just need to get rid of the L plates, and I'm happy with Ronnie for the time being anyway, until I can get a nice big bike that I can ride. Hopefully a Munster. If I can get a Munster that is small enough for me to actually touch the ground with. So here we are returning back to the test. So the week before my CBT, I went for a ride up to Rothbury to meet up with some friends up there that I ride with from the lighthouse. Rothbury is always a place for bikers. There's a cafe there that everyone loves, and it's always been one of them places, and I have fond memories of going pillion with Ron and going up there, and it's such a beautiful place that I really wanted to go back. It was one to reminisce, but also to try the route myself, and also to prove that I could do it, and to meet up with some of the fellow bikers who were up there. Now the journey up there was a little bit scary. It was a bit windy, which is normally fine. It wasn't too windy, but on the A19 on the way up there, with it being so open, it was a bit too windy for a 125, so I felt like I was going to be blown into traffic in the other lanes, or just flew off the bike. So it was a bit scary, but not too scary. It's a case of holding on that rigid position and concentrating a lot more than what you normally would. Now I've heard it's not as bad when you're on a bigger bike that is heavier. The wind doesn't bother as much, but obviously I need a nice little light bike, and I'm restricted to 125 at the minute anyway, so I guess it's something I just have to get used to. Riding a lot on dual carriageways, which can be annoying since Ronnie can only get to 55, so as usual I've constantly got cars continually overtaking me, but it's not about the speed, it's about the ride and the destination. We're currently on the A1. I'm going to cut to footage a little bit further off the A1 down some country roads, and we arrive at Rothbury, so you can see me just entering Rothbury now and heading down to the car park. So I arrived at the car park and met up with some of the bikers, had a nice drink, had a nice chat, those conversations off the bike, normally at meeting places with other bikers, is just as important and just as priceless as the ride itself, although the ride will always come first. On the way back, one of the riders who I get on really well with, a really old man who was really nice, called Billy, decided to ask if I wanted to follow him back, and that we would go a different route other than the A19. One, to avoid the dual carriageway with the wind, but also to get some practice of different roads. He said that the route that we were going to be doing was going to be fun and a bit scary and challenging, but I decided I needed that. I'm trying to try as many different roads as possible so that it builds up my experience, so that it makes me a better rider. So we took this lovely route back, which apparently is named the Mole Run. There was a lot of single lane tracks, some really steep hills, some dips with some fords which were very scary. There was one point where there was a hill going down with a ford at the bottom and then straight up onto a hill going up. So testing my brakes, I basically braked the entire way down the hill. It wasn't my best moment, and then was terrified on the way back up the hill after going through the water that my brakes would fail and I wouldn't be able to get up or the bike would cut off. But the whole journey was great fun. It was very difficult, it was very scary, but it's one of the best rides I've been on, and I felt safe because I had a very well experienced rider with me who, if I got into difficulty with, he would have been there to help. It was also quite funny because it was the first time that I'd let my petrol get below half a tank. I assumed that there would be petrol stations in Rothbury. I was wrong. So I also had the panic of thinking that I was going to run out of petrol up on these hills. But luckily we managed to get to a petrol station just outside of Morpeth and fill up and then return back down to Whitley Bay along the coast. And it's one of the best rides that I've been on, and I think I'll be doing it again. I'm really grateful for having these older men and some well experienced women who can help guide me and make me an even better rider than I am. Because really, although I'm not a learner as in a newbie learner, and I'll always be a learner, and I can always learn from these guys and gals, and I'm really grateful that I have them and see what they can do to get a bit more speed out of it. What's kind of got me thinking is about friendships and support and that camaraderie that you get as a biker. I don't know whether how you feel or what you think, or what your life has been like, but I've kind of always been on the outside. I've always been the friend that somebody comes to when they want something, when they need something. It's always, oh, Donna can do that, Donna can help. Or if somebody's having a bad time, ring me up to talk to me. I remember one time just being out of surgery less than half an hour and having a friend ring me, not to ask how I was, but to pour her heart out because she'd been fighting with her husband and wanted marriage advice and whether she should leave him. And I was lying there thinking, I've just got out of surgery. I was always the friend that ended up having to walk on the road when a path was too wide. It wasn't wide enough. There was always the friend where everybody else would make plans and go out, and I'd always, a lot of the time, been forgot. I think not deliberately sometimes, but I think sometimes just assumed that I wouldn't be interested. If I wanted to go out with friends, it was normally a case of me having to make the plans and me having to do the asking. And I know a lot of people have a similar thing, but within the biking community, it's completely different. I don't know how, but I feel accepted for who I am. I'm accepted for just being me. I'm not needed for anything specific. I'm just wanted for being me, which makes a big difference. And it's something that I really appreciate. There's such an amazing thing about bikers and that camaraderie and that support. Although all bikers are human, so you do get some weird nuts, but generally I feel a lot more accepted and a lot more wanted in the biking community, and accepted for just being me and not feeling that I have to hide certain aspects or be somebody I'm not. So anyway, I think that's a good point to sign off for today.